Hello. I'm Justin, and I'm going to take you through some concepts that I have for the Game of Life 2025. So here, before we get started, it is an example of the product line that I've been developing and designing. I'm also working through building out an operating system, and I can get into that later, a 3D operating system that works with 3D and AI. But for now, we're going to talk about how to gamify life. And so what I did is I created a prototype of this game inside of ChatGPT. So I told ChatGPT, you are a 3D multiplayer video game experience. In essence, you are the operating system of the future. Your job is to help people transition from where they are today into their most optimal state in the future. This means everything from health and spiritual pathways to perfection, as well as career and workflow optimization, celebritizing, and creating optimal designs for each person's home, beauty, clothing, grooming routines, and more. I wanted this to give me a video game script and suggest video game screens and menus for users to interface with. I told ChatGPT, you are the ImagineOS avatar dream builder. People will walk up to you for the first time and will quickly learn about them in order to match their preferred style and gather their dream lifestyle and help lead them practically toward the steps and financial planning required to unlock each phase in their journey from where they are today to where they wish to be. So this is a visual roadmap to treasure that you can custom build in the style of each and every individual user, to help them see a visual path and all the steps and branches required to align to their visions of the future in as quick a way as possible. One thing to consider is that writing checks literally checks boxes in a to-do list, and we can speed up time to success by checking boxes faster. So it started by giving me this kind of scripted out summary of what I just described for the game. And then I asked it to generate a video game interface image for me that matches the response above. So here's a generic interface for health, wealth, love, kind of a 3D game that you can use to play through in order to achieve your goals and across your entire life, an interface for your life. And so I said, okay, let's go ahead and customize this to a user. So I was with Aya and Ashley, and I described Aya as a woman who wants to be a beauty influencer like Michelle Phan. She loves pinks and gold, she likes luxury, she likes 3D renderings. So now it gave me the game for Aya and Aya's life. So now we've actually customized from a generic screen to a screen that matches the user. And from here we go on and say, okay, now let me see the social calendar that will take her step by step through the tasks required to achieve her desired show and celebritization. And so it started to give me that. And then we moved on and got some planning around that and her shows and all that. And goal setting and whatnot, and we'll continue. And then I said, okay, so show me Aya standing or sitting in front of a magical mirror-like experience where the 3D interface is beautifully manifested in front of her, as she can speak and sketch and gesture her dreams to life in collaboration with the magic mirror that is perfectly themed to her and her style, and the 3D interface running within it. So, to continue, here she is. And so we're starting to see Aya herself in front of the interface. So now we're visualizing this real-life person and how she might be using this imaginative game interface for her life. And of course, the concept behind the scenes is that show a room of artists and developers as little beautiful alien creatures working to build Aya's dream experience behind the scenes. In essence, making the magic mirror work by creating instantaneous interfaces in less than a blink of an eye. So here's the idea that behind Aya's mirror is all these little characters who are doing all kinds of work in the blink of an eye in order to manifest behind the scenes her real-time game of life experience. Now we continue on, and Aya went to the restroom, and so we took a moment to do Ashley's world, and we asked for an Egyptian-style world, and it wasn't quite right what it gave us, so we gave it some adjustments to the style. We asked for more feminine, opulent, more Bali-style architecture, high ceilings, more curvature, and it got it perfect. Ashley got her dream interface within 2 tries. So now Ashley has her game screen. So we went from Aya's game to now we're playing Ashley's game. And Aya had just come back from the restroom, so I asked for a transition from Ashley's world to Aya's world, and for a game interface that allows us to go either quickly between Aya's world, Ashley's world, or merge the two worlds, which is kind of interesting. So I next asked for a map view of Aya's journey on a 3D bird's eye landscape of her dream life, so she could go through each of these different areas in order to level up and play the games and missions and checks to tasks that are required in order to achieve her goal and work her way through the game of life. I also asked for it in a playing card view. And then we did the same thing for Ashley, and so here's Ashley's version of her bird's eye view of her game map that she could go from area to area to work through achieving her goals. And of course her card game view as well. And so as we continue, I asked for 3D CRM for investors. For Aya, here's Ashley's 3D CRM for investors. I asked it to give us a project to where they're working together and presenting to a crowd together. I asked for Ashley's magical characters behind the scenes that were helping to manifest her game and working as her team and all the different types of players in her empire behind the scenes of her magical mirror. And as we continue, I had attempted to get it to give me both Aya and Ashley's alien characters working together behind the scenes. Technically they're AI agents, but obviously much more fun when you give them fun little characters. But didn't quite get it right. But you can imagine Ashley's alien characters that look like this and Aya's cute little fuzzy characters playing together, developing out Ashley and Aya's experience together. Then I started talking about, okay, show me a retail experience where Aya and Ashley are going and buying their gamepad and their folding tablet and their pen and their smart desks and their hardware products. So again, if you look at these hardware products that I had designed, how do you customize these products to each individual? And so here is Ashley getting her kind of Egyptian Bali architect style themed items, and then here's items for Aya in her style, right? Obviously we would craft these to get better and better and better as we go. Now I asked for each of their bathrooms and bedrooms and home offices and kitchens, so it started to show here's Ashley's space on the left and Aya's space on the right, and bathroom style spaces and kitchen style spaces. And then I asked for a financial plan to achieve these homes. So we've got pricing here to construct and build. So it looks like Ashley's home needs about a $6 million budget, and Aya's home needs about a $7.2 million budget. And with that said, now we can kind of reverse engineer how they're going to go through the steps to make that kind of money based on their missions and their goals and so on. And of course I asked for a goodbye interface since we were just wrapping up, and a thank you screen for each of them. And as we continue, here's some scripting related to the goodbye experience, and then I asked for coffee table books that we might be able to print out and give them of this experience so that they could have a physical memory of what we just went through. So it kind of generated some concepts for coffee table books. At one point the girl said, "We are the embodiment of ancient future," and so I asked for her to generate me a poster based on something that they had just said, based on a quote. And then we went off into the weeds a little bit because I was interested in the topic of calling in the 144,000 starseeds and playing with different styles for that. And then we moved on a little bit further, and that was kind of that experience. Asked for things like mugs that we could give them, and so on. And as I continued down, this is where it got really interesting. So we started talking about this idea of, give me a game screen, a new workflow for Aya and Ashley to engage in bringing their dreams around business into rapid manifestation via a role-playing game format. We want a tunnel of tasks that appear blip by blip as a set of frames or film reel of scenes in an interactive mode, which shows what screen to look at or task to check off in an insulated tunnel vision. So it's kind of an interesting concept where if you can imagine this tunnel vision of achieving tasks towards goals, we can actually start to visualize every task that Aya and Ashley each have to achieve, and we can show Aya and Ashley doing those tasks, or even their characters behind the scenes doing those tasks. And if we can visualize it, then all they have to do is embody those tasks in the real world. So here you can see this is probably one of the most useful examples that came out of this. If you can imagine that every single frame is a picture or a video of either Ashley doing a task or Aya doing a task, you can start to see them actually like a film reel of everything they must do in the real world in order to achieve their dreams. So then we can streamline that film reel and figure out what tasks can be done by behind the scenes by AI and which ones they actually individually have to accomplish in the real world. And now we can actually give them a visual representation of everything they simply have to do with their human avatar in the real world in order to achieve their dreams. So it's a really fun concept. This is one of my favorite images that we generated for the game interface. So that's where we stopped with Aya and Ashley. And then I started working with Susanna a little bit after showing her this. And we started talking about this game of life, right? So that was Aya and Ashley's game interface for their life. And so this idea of the game of life for 2025, this was right before January 1st, 2025. So imagine each and every human is entering 2025 with their own starting point. Some people are rich, some are poor, some are old, some are young, some are lazy, some are productive, some own stuff, some don't. Some are lucky, some are unlucky, some are healthy, some are fat, etc. So the idea is that we are all entering the game with the starting point that we each individually have prior to 2025. And then each individual sets goals in order to start to achieve those goals by building their own game interfaces, just like we just did for Aya and Ashley. By the end of 2025, the goal is that people will frame by frame know exactly what task and milestone they must embody in real life in order to play through the real life embodiment of achieving their dream lifestyle, their money goals, their wardrobe goals, their home, their office, their business goals, etc. So here we have some details about the game of life for 2025. I asked for a game box for the game of life. Start where you are, manifest your dreams. And of course it can customize to each individual style. So here's kind of a retro game. And then I asked for a table with different player archetypes, so different types of players. And so I started generating, here's one for a nature enthusiast. Here's one for a historical enthusiast. Here's the game of life for a glamorous type of person. Here's the game of life for someone who wants to do toy design. Here's the game of life for someone who's into Fortnite. So each individual's box gets crafted to them. This would be for someone who wants to be a real estate mogul, right? And so you end up with all the players of the game each have their own game box that's custom to their style. The game of life, a game for every dreamer, right? A game of reality for every dreamer. And of course, each individual getting their own custom game pads, which will be more innovative than just the PlayStation style gamepad, of course. So I think I continued to move on, introducing the XR UI for the game of life, the ultimate human upgrade, a new user interface for the matrix of our reality, the ultimate upgrade, why this matters for humanity, for individuals, for the future, welcome to a new era. And so I asked for a book cover, the XR UI, the greatest human upgrade of all time, because we're literally giving humans a interface, a menu system, a customized game that goes with their life and is custom styled to match their goals and their dreams and beyond. Okay, so that was me working with Susanna on the process of kind of packaging up this game that's customized to everyone. And then a few days later, my friend Max came to town. He came from Thailand to San Francisco to LA, and so I asked for a game interface for the map of his travels. Then we started talking about his style guide and kind of played around with the style guide. We ended up here for now. And then we asked for a interface for his fitness goals. We then asked for an overhead world map of his wealth journey. We then went into a specific game screen for one of his businesses, which is called Auto Mentor. And then we asked for a 3D game interface for Max to work with an AI coach on his productivity and habits towards reaching goals. And then we moved on, played with the idea of instead of little cute aliens or little aliens behind the scenes, we played with this idea of these hot girls behind the scenes doing all of his work as AI agents and all the different characters working behind the scenes to get things done for Max. Then we asked for Max in front of a magical mirror in his dream home. And then Max wanted to adjust the style a little bit. He brought up that he likes well-done lofts, rugged architecture, clean design, exposed brick, concrete floors, Hermes-style furniture. And so we asked to show Max's dream home. And he just loved this. It was great. And from there, now that we got his style actually dialed in, I was able to ask for a style guide. So now, from now on, the ImagineOS Game of Life can adapt to this style that he likes. And so we next asked for a game simulator interface for his financial budgeting to bring his dream home in Medellin, Colombia. So now we have a real estate style interface here. I asked for a screen to be able to navigate through health, wealth, and love. And that was playing around and working with Max on Max's game interfaces for his life, his goals, his dreams, his health, his wealth journey, his relationship journey, and so on. And so now I'm going to take a break from user journeys and just talk about this idea of starting with a blank 3D canvas, right? So in essence, the way that I teach how to build these interfaces and how to build a new operating system is you start with a blank 3D canvas, and if you can make a dot appear and move that dot around, now you have an interactive 3D canvas. And from there, we turn that dot into a chameleon, right? And that chameleon then becomes a paradise scene. And then from there, we can start to add in 3D spreadsheets into our paradise scene and link those spreadsheets to all kinds of interfaces. So now we have the spreadsheets are databases where you hold all the data, and those databases can connect to any type of interface. I can show you an example of that towards the end here. But in essence, that is the key there. And then, of course, all of your data can be organized in a variety of ways and styles and imaginative methods within your 3D toolbox of infinity. The way in which we visualize data is just unbelievable what can be done, and style it to each individual style. So that's what I was playing around with. Ultimately, there's this idea that the operating system is basically like a filing cabinet, where maybe the bottom cabinet has to do with how your hardware runs, and then the next cabinet is just the basic startup routine of, how the screen can imagine, can create visuals, and the next one is maybe things like how to create characters, how to create 3D objects, how to create animations, how to create blah blah blah. Then the next one up is holding your data, and the next one up is the instructions for the algorithms and automations that it runs, and so on. And the next thing you know, you have your whole operating system visualized in the 3D filing cabinet, which is a really special way to help people understand how these computer systems actually work, and a magical metaphor for organizing their mind and all the tools that they use within a digital experience. So that's kind of where we left off. And I'll show you one more thing before we end here. Let me go and pull up this. So this is one of my favorite examples of how to build apps and understand the app building process in 3D. How to start with a blank 3D canvas and bring it to life. And if I teach you just the basics of databases, interfaces, styling, and algorithms, then all of a sudden everything becomes so much easier for building your user interfaces and your imaginative game of life programs. So if you can start with a blank 3D world and add objects, pretty straightforward. We can add all kinds of things like your old devices into the 3D space. So here I'm adding in your old phone, your old tablet, your old laptop. So now you're actually simulating your old products inside this 3D space. So now you can actually get rid of those old hardware because you brought it into a 3D world. You have new ways to browse the web. So whether you're browsing the web one section of a page at a time, or expanding it out and seeing the website in a tall view, or even cutting up that website so you can see the whole length of the website in a smart way side by side. You can do some really special things here, right? So that is a whole new way to browse the web, and I can get further later. But where it really gets interesting is this idea of 3D spreadsheets. If you can organize your data three-dimensionally as spreadsheets, and then you can connect those spreadsheets to interfaces. So here you can see on the right someone's drawing an interface. And then in just a moment they're going to link the spreadsheet to the interface. So they could draw a whole bunch of different interfaces in different style, and the data just links from the spreadsheet, and when they change the data in the interface, it updates the spreadsheet. When they update the spreadsheet, it updates the interface, and you can have multiple interfaces connecting to the same data. Once people understand this, then they can really build their own apps and experiences on the fly. And here's how you style those interfaces. So you bring up your color patterns and your fonts and so on, and the next thing you know, each individual can have their own custom styling. And it's just that simple. So Aya's styling would be those pinks and purples and golds. Ashley's styling would be those Egyptian Bali style architecture stylings. Max's stylings would have more along the lines of the brick and concrete and Hermes style and so on. And when each of them look at their own apps, it might be pulling the same data if they're working in a shared environment, but it will visualize to each of them individually or create a merged, blended version of what they have in mind. So that's the basics, and we can get very deep into all the building blocks of productivity and how to build interfaces on the fly using different building blocks such as calendars, flowcharts, mind maps, and so on, create multi-user experiences. And again, every user can see the same world, or they can re-visualize the same data in their own styles or emerging styles and so on. So lots of fun things, AI enhanced of course, and we'll go from there. But that is the aspect of bringing the game of life into, whether it's these new style products or just running it as we did in a chat type of experience with, just instantly generating visuals to match the customer's wants, needs, interface requests, and so on. So let's see here. That is just a quick rundown of the Game of Life 2025. This is based on the ImagineOS work that I have been doing, the Virtuous platform, and the concept of helping people achieve their dreams.